We're here at the Health Optimization Summit with a man who really doesn't need an introduction, Mark Sisson. I want to talk to you about throughout your life, you've had to adjust, you've made changes, you've got a book coming out discussing some of those changes, but it's a topic that I think many people are confused about.
Yeah.
And that is how to exercise properly,
Yeah.
Especially as we age.
Yeah.
But you and Brad have really addressed this, I think, from a point of experience, decades of experience.
Right.
And that is
Lots of failure.
That's how we learn, isn't it? The hard way.
Yeah.
And I just want to, we don't have much time, but I want you to kind of help unpack that for us.
Yeah.
It's like, how do we polarize this, this cardio?
Yeah. So I would say, you walk this back to like, why do we work out in the first place, right? Why are we even doing this? Hopefully it's for our health. In most cases, it's for our health and to look good naked. So, to achieve an ideal body composition, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
Very few of us work out to actually compete. So if we take the competition aspect out of this, and we're just talking about, okay, why am I putting myself through this rigorous routine on a daily basis? What is the end goal? And how do I best achieve that with the least amount of pain and suffering and sacrifice and discipline and all the other negative things that we associate with that? Over the years, and I started running in the 60s, and then through the 70s when I was competing and into the 80s, it was, no pain, no gain. The more you ran, I was a runner, a marathon runner, the more you ran, theoretically, the better an athlete you'd become, the better your performance was. That worked to a certain extent because I was an ectomorph. So I was self-selected to be a runner. And one of the things that I realized over the years, and one of the things that we talk about in the book, is most people should not be running at all because they don't have the genetic complement to run. They're not skinny, large lung capacity, genetically gifted VO2 max, and a high pain tolerance. Those are the people who should be running. If we talk about, running in general as a form of what many people have assumed is the best form of cardio. That's why tens of millions of people run.
Right.
So what I learned from all of that experience was that the no pain, no gain works a little bit for athletes, does not work really well for the average citizen who's out there trying to achieve these goals we're talking about.
Yeah.
So running, for example, is a horrible way to lose weight because most people run too hard, too fast, at too high a heart rate for them to develop an aerobic base, a fat-burning base, to improve capillary perfusion in their muscles, to prompt mitochondrial biogenesis, which is the little powerhouses in the cell where the fat burns. Most people run at a heart rate that leaves the fat-burning zone way behind and only burns glycogen for most of what they're doing. So now, at the end of that workout, they come back, oh my God, it was valuable. I worked really hard. My heart rate was high. I sweated. I struggled. I'm exhausted. But what happened was that was a stressful event for the body. They weren't trained to be able to do that on a regular basis. So they produced a lot of cortisol. Cortisol is a hormone, a stress hormone, which prompts the storage of visceral fat. They probably damaged their bodies because they ran with bad form because if they're not that ectomorphic, skinny, runner with good form, they're wearing thick padded shoes that are excusing bad form because you think, oh my God, I'm running on clouds, and you're not. You're just 10% of the impact is being absorbed by the cushion in your heels. The rest is going right up your kinetic chain. So you get injured, which is why runners get injured. 50% of runners get injured every year. It's worse than the NFL. So then, because they exhausted their glycogen supplies, they're hungry. Now they have to, consciously or unconsciously, they tend to overeat that day so that they can do it again the next day and the next day. And the frustrating part about this for almost everybody who tries to enter a running program with the purpose of losing weight is they don't lose weight at all. And if anything, their body composition shifts because it's catabolic. They lose muscle and they gain a little bit more fat, a little bit more visceral fat. They become what we call skinny fat. How, that doesn't, in the context of what we said originally, why are you doing this? If it's to be fitter and live longer and look good naked, it's just too much work. So what do you do instead? Well, the ideal thing, we're designed to walk. We're born to walk, which is the name of my book. Yeah. So the more walking we can do throughout the day, that's building an aerobic base. That's zone 1, zone 2. That's this fat burning zone. So you do a lot of work in that zone. Whenever you can walk, find a way to walk. And then once a week, sprint. So it sounds a little counterintuitive, isn't that working hard? But sprinting is we were adapted to walk a lot, and to sprint for our lives once in a while. Our ancestors for 2.5 million years didn't go, hey, it's Tuesday and we don't have a hunt until Saturday. Let's go for an easy 10-miler. That was completely antithetical to health and to existence.
Right.
So we're born to walk a lot, we're born to sprint a little bit, and we're born to lift heavy things. So now if you take this combination, you say walk a lot, sprint once in a while, do that VO2 max work, but not a lot, and then go to the gym and do weights, lift weights, do resistance training, build your muscles. That's putting you on that path to the strong, lean, fit, happy, healthy, productive body that you want. That's that path of least resistance, minimum effective dose of exercise.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
The minimum effective dose of exercise to get to look good naked, to never get sick, to have muscle mass, to increase your muscle mass and your strength and your power, all those things that you want going into later in life, right? So that you talk to everybody in the longevity world and they'll say, well, the metric is grip strength and VO2 max. Well, it's a lot more than that because now a lot of people are talking about muscle mass. You want to maintain your muscle mass as you get older and older. That becomes the real, that's the definition of your ability to move around this world, is if you have the muscular strength. Not so much. I mean, the VO2 max, yeah, but not striving to be in the 2%. But if I'm looking for all the metrics that I want to achieve as I get older and to live longer, I want to hang from a bar for a minute and a half when I'm 71. I want to do 1.5 times my body weight in a deadlift. I want to bench press my body weight 10 times. I want to be able to hold a plank for 3 minutes. I want to be able to run a mile in under 8 minutes. I mean, all these different metrics. I want to be able to stand on one foot with my arms crossed and my eyes closed for 45 seconds. Try it sometime.
Most people can't do that.
You can't do 5 seconds. Most people can't do 5 seconds. So those are all of the things that we can do that build a stronger, robust, resilient body into our 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s.
Yeah.
Versus focusing on running and then having, because you ran the way I described, which is too hard to be, it's in that no man's land. It's not slow enough to be developing an aerobic base, but not hard enough or fast enough to be developing speed or power or strength.
Right.
And then when you do that kind of running, that metronomic 8-minute mile, 9-minute mile, 10-minute mile running, then you have no energy left to go to the gym and do the weights that you're supposed to be doing. Right. So walking becomes the quintessential human movement. It is really, like, I cannot stress enough how I'm giving everybody permission to walk. Yeah, I'm giving runners permission to walk again. I'm giving people who thought that walking was useless, and I'm 275 pounds, there's no way, walking doesn't really burn that many calories and my feet hurt, so why should I do that? I'm giving them permission to walk again. It's really the quintessential. And when you do that, and obviously we haven't talked about this, but you got to have metabolic flexibility, right? You have to dial in your diet. 80% of your body composition happens as a result of how you choose to eat. If you can develop metabolic flexibility to the point that you're burning fat at rest, you're burning fat while you're walking, you're burning fat while you're doing work in the gym, then every meal you skip, whether intentionally or unintentionally, there's another 500 calories that your body takes out of fat stores and shrinks you down to your ideal body composition. When you get in that metabolically flexible space, again, the amount of work you have to do is minimal. It's the minimal effective dose of exercise.
I love that.
Yeah.
I've been saying that as well. Minimal effective dose, people want to, they want to overtrain. They want to overdo.
Yeah.
And you get the inflammation. And as we age, I think it starts to catch up with us. And I think you've probably seen that too, where we end up injuring ourselves or getting
Injury
sick.
becomes the real, the
real enemy.
It's a real, anybody who is over 50, whatever you're trying to do, and a lot of people want to play. Like I want to play with my grandchildren. I want to roll around. I'm 71, my grandson is 3. He likes to wrestle on the beanbag chair, and we wind up on the floor. I need to be able to get up off the floor after I'm wrestling with I said years ago, I want to be able to beat my 7-year-old grandchild. I made this a long time ago, in a 100-yard dash. So when JJ is 7, I'll be 74. So I'm gonna strive to be able to beat her in a 100-yard dash. It's not always going to happen,
right?
But that was sort of the crossing point that I was looking for. With my son, it was like I was a snowboarder, and a pretty good one, and he's a good snowboarder. And it was when he was 14 that I saw. I'm like, okay, I'm crushing it on this hill, and I'm ahead of my son. I'm ahead of Kyle. I better scrub off a little bit of speed. And then he goes right by me, and that's okay. That's where the paths cross. But that's I was still fit enough to be able to
Keep up
snowboard
it.
with him.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah.
I remember that with my kids. To teach them to sprint for their sports. It's like at some point they're getting faster.
Yeah.
And they're recovering faster.
Yeah, that's the key point. That's the key point.
So wow, thank you
Yeah.
so much, Mark. I appreciate your wisdom. You've been I'm 54, and I'm like you're like about 16 years older than me, and it's just like pacing with, okay, there's the target. And so you've been, I think you're an icon like that for a lot of people. You have changed the paradigm on aging.
I appreciate that.
And what we should expect from ourselves, and we can do for ourselves. And then thank you for sharing the knowledge, because that's what we need.
My pleasure.
Great insight. Thank you, sir.
You bet.